Let's talk about the difference between selling and negotiating, because I've mentioned it a couple times in our opening. To me, selling is getting your price on your terms and conditions, whereas negotiating is modifying your terms in some way to get the agreement. Now, we can have different definitions, and that's fine, but let's use those definitions for the rest of the time that we're going to spend with each other. I'll give you a quick example. I have a client of mine who is a CFO, and the way that they're structured in this technology company is that all deals go to him at the end for a final sign-off and negotiation. He has two reps. One's name is Ian, and one's name is Ron. Now, Ian, when they bring a deal to Bob, what happens? That deal is done. We're not negotiating terms. We don't negotiate price. When Ian brings a deal, it's the deal that ends up getting signed. But when Ron brings a deal to Bob, it's just the starting point. The terms have never been dealt with. They're changing. The pricing model changes. And so what Ron brings Bob never ends up what the real deal is. So one is selling and one is negotiation. So getting your product or service, whatever it's worth, is really a selling skill, but it's also a mindset. And that's really what we're going to be talking about, because yes, there are tactics and strategies, but if your mind isn't 100% of confidence and conviction of your product and your service and the value that you bring, you're in trouble. So let's kind of talk about this seesaw. I think that sometimes salespeople, if I'm doing this, right, to get the deal, they throw a lot of features and benefits. They're trying to level it out. And I get that. But really great negotiators on our side, right, on the selling side, they really focus on to make sure that they're also understanding the needs, the issues, the time, and everything that's important to the buyer. And that levels out the playing field. So let's kind of review where we are. I mean, you can become a master negotiator by selecting a system and following it. Most people don't have a system. Most people don't follow a system. So the results show, just like it did for Ron. They're going to give away margin. They're going to give away terms. And they put themselves in a bad spot for future negotiation. We also have learned that salespeople and negotiators are made. You can practice it. You can rehearse it. We're not born. So this is a skill that you can learn and become better and better at. But also that you have to learn what to do as far as success. And what I mean by that is, once you understand what the success is, replicate it. Replicate it. You may not like the part that has to do with negotiation, and I get it. A lot of people find it distasteful. The fact of the matter is, it's a way of life. If you're not going to sell at your terms and your conditions, by default, you're going to end up having to negotiate. Even if you did go through the sales process in a perfect way, you followed your system and everything was there. The fact of the matter is, sometimes on the buying side, they're going to throw in things that you didn't expect. At that time and throughout the whole process, I'd suggest that you use the Sandler selling system, because that's a process that would focus on the buyer's needs and wants. It's conversational in nature. It's not a script-based selling system, but it allows you to better understand what's important to that buyer, really understanding the budget parameters and the decision-making capabilities. So at the very last second, you don't have somebody coming into the buying process out of the blue who's going to start negotiating from step one. We've all experienced it, but you're going to try to avoid that. The best thing about using Sandler is that you co-create a solution. And by co-creating a solution, that's the key, because ultimately, it's tougher for the buyer to negotiate when they created the solution within their budget parameters and where they can make that decision. We're going to be learning all of these things as we spend more time together.